These two photographs were taken in the same location, less than an hour apart. They were captured by a trail camera installed in an old forested area on the grounds of a former colonial settlement in upstate South Carolina. Long ago, a small community of early settlers lived there. The history of the place is grim. Most of the inhabitants were killed during an attack. Over time, the land was reclaimed by forest, quiet, but deeply unsettling. The first photo shows an ordinary nighttime scene. The second, taken only minutes later, reveals a strange figure in the same spot. Its outline is far too clear to be explained by light or shadow alone. Many who have seen the images say the shape resembles a human silhouette, as if standing on an old path once used by the last surviving settlers as they fled. Is it fog, a camera effect, or something left behind from a long-forgotten tragedy? The images suggest that the past of this place has not disappeared. It is still watching from the darkness of the forest. What do you think was captured here? Write your opinion in the comments. This photo was taken several years ago in an old apartment. The owner of the image was simply experimenting with a new digital camera, a cheap model often used as a webcam. Later, he believed the images had been lost. Unexpectedly, an acquaintance found a copy and sent it to him by email. When he opened the file, he froze. In the hallway stood something unnatural, a pale figure with no head. He could not explain what the camera had captured, but even now, the sight of that anomaly sends chills down his spine. What do you think appeared in that hallway? Write in the comments. In the next photograph, a young man simply took a picture of himself in a mirror. Nothing unusual was expected, but when he later examined the image more closely, he noticed a figure at the bottom of the frame, clear enough that it could not be ignored. He was certain he had been alone, yet the photo suggested otherwise, as if someone had been watching him the entire time. For many who have seen this image, the figure provokes genuine fear. It is motionless and silent, like the embodiment of something dangerous. It feels as if it was hiding, waiting for the right moment to remind him that the world is not always safe, even when you believe you are alone. What do you think appeared in the mirror? Write your thoughts in the comments. The owner of this photograph explained that the camera had been installed deep in the forest and set to activate only when movement was detected. Its sole purpose was to capture deer and other wildlife passing by. According to him, there was no possible way for a person to be there unnoticed. And for the camera to trigger, something had to be moving. What the camera ultimately recorded raised only one question: who, or what, could have appeared there at that moment, if no people were present by definition? What do you think set off the camera? Share your thoughts. At first glance, this photograph looked ordinary, a group of young women smiling for the camera. Photographer Matthew Summers didn't notice anything strange until later. Zooming in, he saw her. Between the legs of the girls on the left stood a small child, expressionless and faded. Her eyes were dark voids, her face ghostly pale. No one remembered seeing a child there. When Matthew asked around, locals told him a girl had died on that very street years before, hit by a carriage while playing. They say her spirit still lingers, appearing only in photos, forever standing among the living, silent and unseen. She discovered this one photograph deep within her family archives and immediately felt that something about it was wrong. The image showed her great-grandmother's sister standing with a friend, but behind them appeared to be another figure. Blurred, indistinct, watching. She showed the photo to her mother, hoping for a rational explanation. The response was simple, just a trick of the light. 40 days after the photograph was taken, her great-grandmother passed away. Now, every time she looks at the image, she feels the same cold sensation, the same presence that seemed to linger behind the women in the photo. What do you think was standing behind them? Write your thoughts in the comments. This photograph appears to show ghostly faces watching from the historic McPike Mansion in Alton, Illinois. According to local legend, the 149-year-old house is home to numerous spirits, members of the McPike family and their servants. In 2009, investigators from Ghost Lab studied the property, recording EVP sounds and capturing unexplained phenomena on camera. Strange noises, sudden temperature drops, and shadow movements were documented throughout the mansion. This photograph became one of the pieces of evidence suggesting that the old mansion is still inhabited by those who never truly left its walls. Who do you think is still watching from inside the mansion? Write your opinion in the comments. According to the owner of the photograph, it was never meant to capture a boy at all. The image was supposed to show only his sister. The photo was taken in 2014, and for years nothing unusual was noticed. It was not until the spring of 2018, when the mother was looking through old family photos, that she noticed something disturbing deep in the background. A strange boy appeared in the frame, partially hidden, standing where no one should have been. The image was immediately sent to a paranormal specialist for analysis. The response was even more unsettling. The boy had no legs. The family's house had always been considered strange. For years, unexplained events occurred there. Sudden odors with no source, objects moving on their own, constant unexplained sounds, shadowy figures appearing briefly, and a fire alarm that would activate at exactly 2 in the morning. So many things happened that the family even began to wonder whether some kind of portal existed inside the house. There had also been a death in that home. The previous owner had died of tuberculosis, and the house had to be disinfected before the family moved in. The neighboring house, according to locals, also showed signs of paranormal activity. Despite all of this, no one had ever reported seeing a child's spirit in the house. And yet, the image clearly showed a small boy standing silently in the photograph. What do you think appeared in the background of this photo? Write your thoughts in the comments. This photograph was taken late at night at a workplace. Upon closer inspection, several dark human-like silhouettes can be seen in the image. According to the person who took the photo, he was completely alone at the site at that moment. No one else was supposed to be there, and no movement had been heard or seen. The photograph creates a deeply unsettling feeling. The shadowy figures appear motionless, as if hiding within the darkness, silently observing every movement without making a sound. What do you think these silhouettes represent? Write your thoughts in the comments. After moving into a new home, a young man decided to take a photo to remember the moment. At first, nothing seemed unusual. Some time later, after examining the image more closely, he noticed a strange shape hidden in the darkness behind the staircase. Increasing the brightness revealed what looked like a face or figure. It would have been impossible for a stranger to be in the house. Only 2 people were present at the time, the young man in the photo and the person who took it. So who, or what, was standing there? What do you think was captured in the shadows? Write your opinion in the comments. The author was celebrating a birthday and taking ordinary party photos, never expecting to find anything unusual. Later, while reviewing the images on her phone, she noticed something reflected in a mirror. A silhouette with a pale face and dark hair. The reflection appears to be staring directly into the camera, even though she was alone in the room at the time. She was never able to explain who or what it was, but ever since then, this photo sends chills down her spine whenever she looks at it again. What do you think appeared in the mirror? Write your opinion in the comments. The next photo was taken during a casual gathering of friends. They are certain there were 5 people present that evening, 1 holding the camera and 4 standing in front of it. However, when they reviewed the image the next day, they noticed a strange figure behind them, something that should not have been there. No one could explain where it came from or how it appeared. What do you think joined them in the photo? Write your thoughts in the comments. A woman claims that something terrifying lives in her home. During one party, someone took this photo, and in the center of the frame, directly behind the guests, a distorted female face with glowing eyes appeared. No one present recognized it. Everyone immediately believed it was a ghost. The image left a lasting impression, as if something invisible had been watching the gathering from just behind them. What do you think appeared in this photo? Share your thoughts in the comments. This photo shows the author's niece. She took the picture in a small bathroom where it would have been physically impossible for anyone to stand so close behind her. The dark shape visible behind her back is supposedly just a shower curtain. But there is one detail that makes the image unsettling. At the moment the photo was taken, the girl was completely alone, the door was closed, and no one entered the room. And yet, something about the image suggests that, for a brief moment, something else appeared in that narrow space, something that should not have been there. What do you think was captured in the bathroom? Write in the comments. This photograph, taken by the father of a little girl, once spread across the internet, shocking thousands. At first glance, it seems ordinary, a child sitting on the floor, playing with her toys. But right in front of her, a pale white shape appears, forming the faint outline of a human figure. Viewers around the world were convinced it was no camera glitch or dust reflection, but the spirit of the girl's late mother, returning to play with her daughter even after death. The figure's posture seems gentle, almost protective, as if watching over the child from another world. What do you think? A coincidence, or proof that a mother's love truly never dies? Write your thoughts in the comments. The owner of this photograph admits that he has seen many strange images in his life, but this one stands apart. So much so that it still haunts him. He did not take the photo himself. It was taken by the father of his cousin Phil during a trip through Germany several years ago. The man was simply photographing his wife during a quiet walk. The location was peaceful. No people were around. Nothing seemed unusual. The shock came later, when the film was developed. In the background, where there should have been nothing, a disturbing figure appeared. It looks as though someone is crouching or kneeling, hiding, yet watching at the same time. The posture feels unnatural and deliberate, too intentional to be a random shadow. Everyone present at the location confirms that no one else was there. The area was empty and silent. To this day, no one can explain what was captured. A ghost? An unknown entity? Or something even stranger? What do you think this figure is? Share your opinion in the comments. This photograph was taken several years ago during an anniversary celebration of a motorcycle club. At first glance, it looks like an ordinary party photo, friends, smiles, laughter, and celebration. But upon closer inspection, something strange appears in the background on the right side. A figure with disturbing eyes, which, according to everyone present, could not possibly have been there at the time. The group insists that no one was standing behind them. And yet, The gaze of that figure seems to pierce through the image, leaving an unsettling feeling behind. What do you think appeared in this photo? Share your thoughts in the comments. In this image, a young woman stands in the foreground, but directly behind her, something unsettling can be seen, what looks like a foreign face peering out from just inches away. The presence feels invasive, breaking the sense of an ordinary photograph. The author emphasizes that no one was standing behind the woman at the time. Everyone else in the house was positioned in front of her, near the person taking the photo. The only alteration made to the image was the blurring of the woman's face for privacy. And yet, something else appears to be there. What do you think is visible behind her? Share your thoughts in the comments. The owner of this photograph believes that the image shows his father, who had passed away not long before the photo was taken. The picture was captured under ordinary circumstances, but upon closer inspection, the figure does not feel like just a random silhouette. The facial features, the posture, the expression, everything feels familiar, yet strangely unreal, like a presence that remained after death. For the owner, this image became more than just a photograph. It feels like a possible moment of contact, a sign that someone who passed on may still be nearby. What do you think appears in this photo? Write your thoughts in the comments. The man has always tried to find a rational explanation for this photograph, but he has never been able to understand what appeared behind his son. On the left side of the image, a strange figure can be faintly seen. Its shape resembles a human form, but the details are disturbing, especially the absence of eye sockets, making the face appear empty and lifeless. Every attempt to explain it logically leads to the same conclusion. No one in the room saw this figure at the moment the photo was taken. The photograph remains the only evidence that it was ever there. What do you think this figure is? Write your thoughts in the comments. Over a decade ago, a father took his family camping and brought along his digital camera. The trip was calm, filled with laughter and campfire stories. No one felt uneasy, no strange sensations, until later, when the photos were reviewed. The father, trying to explain it, claimed it must be a lens flare, but everyone who's seen it disagreed. The glow seems to take the form of a person, half turned toward the camera. The family still keeps the photo, though no one likes to look at it for long. Lens flare, or something else that came to watch them that night. The owner says this photo was taken in June 2007, when his wife photographed their son playing. Later, while reviewing the image, they noticed a strange detail. Behind the boy's right shoulder, what looks like a little girl can be seen, as if playing with toys. The man brought the photo to work, and several people immediately recognized the girl as a child who had died in a tragic school bus accident near their home. When the boy saw the photo, he calmly said she was his friend. But later, his behavior changed. For unknown reasons, he began to fear her and refused to enter his bedroom. The family eventually moved to another town for unrelated reasons. To this day, the father shows the photo to skeptics, watching as they struggle to explain what the camera captured. Who do you think was playing behind the boy? Write in the comments. The owner of this photograph was stunned by what his camera captured. He emphasizes that the location is private property, securely fenced. No animals roam there, and strangers cannot enter. Yet the image clearly shows a strange figure. Its form reminded neither of a person nor an animal. Instead, something faint and almost transparent, like a presence that should not have been visible at all. What do you think appeared on that property? Write in the comments. This photograph was taken in 2004 on the island of Rhodes, Greece, using a regular film camera during a 7-week trip. At the time, the man's girlfriend had stepped away to get a drink, leaving him briefly alone. He noticed a room lined with massive clay vessels arranged in a semicircle. Each stood nearly 160 centimeters tall, imposing and ancient. He took a photo, and only afterward did a woman working there explain that the vessels were burial urns from centuries before Christ. At first, nothing seemed unusual. But when he later developed more than 300 photos from the trip, he noticed something extraordinary in that image. Shapes resembling faint human forms appeared among the urns, as if lingering presences tied to the past had revealed themselves. For him, the moment became unforgettable, like a silent encounter with history that had never truly left. What do you think appeared among the urns? Write in the comments. Nearly 2 years have passed since these photos were taken, but the family still remembers them with unease. That day, the author's sister and her fiancé visited their parents' home with the kids. They spent hours clearing weeds and overgrowth in the backyard, working until evening. She took photos to document the progress and her fiancé working near a picnic table. The yard is large and fenced. Later, after everyone left, she reviewed the images and noticed something terrifying. She immediately called her sister and mother on FaceTime. In both photos, her fiancé can be seen bending over near the table, but beside him appears something the family still cannot explain. What do you think was standing in that backyard? Share your thoughts in the comments.
During a wedding in Toowoomba, Australia, ghost hunters captured this haunting image, a husband and wife sharing their first dance. The room glows with joy and light, but just to the right of the couple, in a soft beam of light, stands a small girl. Her form is faint, but her face is clear, curious, almost smiling, as if she wants to join in. No one remembered a child being there. No guests were nearby when the picture was taken. Some say she's the spirit of a young girl who once lived on the land where the venue now stands. It's one of the few ghost photos that seems innocent, almost sweet, but no one can be sure. What do you think? A lost child spirit, or just a trick of the camera?
This photograph was taken on the grounds of the Riverside Indian School in Anadarko, Oklahoma. The image shows an empty schoolyard. However, when looked at closely, it seems as though silhouettes of children playing can be seen on the playground. The author wonders whether this is simply an illusion of light and shadow, or if the camera captured something more. The photo leaves behind a quiet sense of unease, suggesting that sometimes cameras record what the human eye cannot see. What do you think is visible on the playground? Share your thoughts in the comments. On the right side is a photograph of the author's brother, who died of cancer in 2011. Years later, in a bathroom, a face suddenly appeared on a fogged-up window. It formed on its own, and looked disturbingly like him. The author insists that no one was in the room at that moment, and the image on the glass disappeared just as suddenly as it had appeared. A coincidence, a trick of the mind, or did someone decide to remind them of their presence from the other side? What do you think appeared on the glass? Write in the comments. This photograph was taken at Peck Cemetery in Decatur, Illinois, a place long considered by locals to be one of the most mysterious and cursed locations in the area. At the time the photo was taken, only 2 people were present on the grounds, and both insist that neither of them appears in the image. Yet the photograph clearly shows a dark figure moving deeper into the cemetery. No one can explain where the silhouette came from. What do you think was walking among the graves? Write your thoughts in the comments. The owner of this photograph says the picture of her son was taken many years ago. During her pregnancy, doctors initially told her she was expecting twins. But later, she was informed that one of the babies had not survived and had been absorbed by her body. The photo was taken at Castillo de San Marcos in St. Augustine, Florida. Only later, while looking through the image, the woman noticed a strange detail that felt like a sign of the second child's presence. She admits that the discovery does not frighten her. Instead, it brings comfort. To her, this photo feels like proof that her son's twin is always near him, like a quiet guardian angel watching over him. What do you think appears in this photo? Share your opinion in the comments. The image shows a photograph of John Boulware and another taken after his fatal car accident in 1984. 16-year-old John Boulware died in a tragic car crash in Minnesota when he and 3 of his friends were driving to a Prince concert. After the accident, a police officer took several photographs of the crash site, and in one of them, a ghostly face appeared, said to resemble John himself. The eerie image became known as the Screaming Spirit or the Screaming Soul. The photograph sparked heated debate. Some believe it to be proof of life after death, while others insist it's nothing more than a photographic anomaly, a strange mix of light, reflections, and coincidence. This image was taken by a nurse in the intensive care unit of a Colorado hospital. She was testing the flash in a dark room when she accidentally captured something she couldn't explain. In the photo, an empty chair appears to be occupied by a faint, human-shaped mist, almost like someone sitting, hunched forward, watching quietly. No patients were in that room at the time. Staff members later claimed that several patients who had died there were seen in that same chair in previous photos. Coincidence? Or the spirit of someone who never left the ICU? This photograph was shared by a woman named Chrissy. According to her, the image shows a strange figure or silhouette standing directly behind a young girl. It does not seem to belong to the scene and creates the unsettling feeling of something unnatural and unexplained. Many people who examine the image question whether it is just light and shadow, a camera glitch, or something paranormal. Some say the figure looks disturbingly real, as if it is silently watching. What do you think is standing behind the girl? Share your thoughts. This photo was taken years ago on an old train during a Polar Express ride. It was uploaded to social media with no one noticing anything unusual until someone pointed out a frightening face visible in the window. Some viewers claim it looks like a demonic figure. Whatever it is, the person who posted the photo admits that even years later, the image still sends chills down the spine. What do you think was staring through that window? Write in the comments. A woman shared a disturbing story about her son. While he was staying at a friend's house, he constantly felt like someone was watching him. At night, he heard strange noises but tried to blame it on his imagination. One morning, the feeling returned stronger than ever. He took a photo, and what appeared in the image stunned him. A terrifying figure could be seen in the television screen. What makes it even stranger is that the TV had been turned off at the time. So what was watching him from the dark reflection? What do you think was captured in the screen? Share your opinion in the comments. two photographs were taken at a funeral, but one of them caused real shock. The man who shared the images claims that in the first photo, near the fence, what looks like an archangel can be seen. In the second, the figure appears to be rising into the sky. According to him, this was a sign that even in moments of loss, loved ones are not alone and someone from above guides them home. What do you think appeared in these funeral photos? Write your thoughts in the comments. In the historic New Bell Inn pub in Harwich, Essex, a visitor snapped a photo near the fireplace. When reviewed later, it revealed what looked like an elderly woman sitting calmly by the flames. The men in the picture never noticed her presence. Locals whisper of a spirit known to haunt the pub, the ghost of a widow who once owned the inn centuries ago. Some say she still sits by the fire every night, waiting for the husband who never came home from sea. The photo's authenticity has been debated for years, but one thing remains certain. Those who've stood near that fireplace often describe feeling a sudden chill, as if invisible eyes were watching. Coincidence? Or a glimpse into a tragic past that refuses to fade? In July, a visitor touring the Rochester Cathedral in England took a photo of the ancient interior. At first, nothing seemed strange, but later, while reviewing the pictures, one shot stood out. In the dim corridor near the altar stands a dark, shadowy figure, barely visible yet undeniably there. Its outline resembles a person, motionless, watching. The photographer insists the place was empty at the time. Historians say the cathedral has seen centuries of tragedy, burials, fires, and countless prayers for the dead. Perhaps one soul never left. Was this just a shadow, or a guardian spirit still wandering the sacred halls? During a routine visit to a centuries-old castle, a tourist took what was meant to be just another souvenir photo. But when the film was developed, the image revealed something far from ordinary. In the middle of the vast, dimly lit hall, a group of translucent figures appeared, faint yet unmistakable. Their outlines seemed to move, as though caught mid-step, gliding silently through the air. The photographer insists there were no people present when the shutter clicked. Locals believe the castle still echoes with the spirits of those who once lived and died within its stone walls. Others think it's simply an illusion of dust and light. But once you've seen the photo, it's hard to shake the feeling that those halls are never truly empty. Could this be the restless past reaching out from beyond time? In 2010, a YouTube user shared a chilling photo that, according to him, was taken by his sister during a night shift at an unknown hospital. The image quickly drew attention. Many viewers became convinced that something not of this world had been captured. The figure in the photo looks deeply unsettling, almost threatening, turning what should have been an ordinary hospital night into the scene of something unexplainable. Hospitals are places where life and death exist side by side. But was something else walking those halls that night? What do you think was caught in this hospital photo? Share your thoughts. This photo was taken shortly before a wedding. Only 2 people were in the room at the time, and both were standing behind the camera. Nothing seemed unusual in the moment, but a closer look tells a different story. The image captured something that cannot be easily explained. A figure or silhouette appears in the frame as if it came from nowhere, yet no one can determine what it is. A coincidence, a camera glitch, or something not meant to be seen. Some moments in life are frozen by a camera, yet remain forever beyond explanation. This photo is one of them. What do you think appeared in this room? Write in the comments. This image shows a basement where only the camera operator, 2 people, and a dog were present. No one else was there. Yet in the photo, a dark, blurry figure can be seen, something that should not exist in that space. It creates an uneasy feeling, like an unwanted presence watching from the shadows. It is impossible to say for sure what it is, a camera defect, a trick of light, or something paranormal. The blurred outline only deepens the sense of quiet dread. What do you think was in that basement? Share your thoughts in the comments. This photo sparked intense discussion online, especially among Japanese users. At first glance, it looks normal, a girl standing next to her mother. No one else was in the room. But on closer inspection, a figure appears on the right. It is not blurred or accidental. Its shape is disturbingly familiar. It looks like the girl's brother, who died tragically several years earlier. They did not notice him at the moment the photo was taken. The realization came later, when the past seemed to step back into the room and silently stand beside them. Coincidence? Or did someone find a way to return, just for a moment? What do you think appeared in this photo? Write in the comments. The photo shows an old hallway lined with antique tiles, dimly lit by a single flickering light. On the left, a half-open wooden door stands slightly ajar. A human-like figure with a faint, indistinct face peers out from the shadows, almost blending with them. The longer one looks, the stronger the sense that this presence is aware of being seen, silently waiting to be noticed. The atmosphere in the corridor feels heavy, as if the air itself remembers something terrible. What was that figure doing there, standing so still, watching, or waiting? What do you think? Trick of light, or something far more sinister lurking in the dark? After an evening walk near the forest, a group of friends decided to take one last photo before heading home. They stood smiling in front of the trees, unaware that something else was standing behind them. Only later, at home, did they notice the terrifying detail. Between the dark trunks, a blurred shape appeared, tall, vaguely human, with 2 faintly glowing eyes staring straight at the camera. None of them remember seeing anyone there. The figure's outline is distorted, like a shadow that doesn't belong to anyone. Some who've seen the image say it feels as if the forest itself is alive, watching, breathing, hiding something old and hungry among the trees. What do you think those glowing eyes belong to? A man said this photograph was taken in his daughter's garden around 11 at night. At the time, nothing unusual was noticed. The night was quiet, calm, and seemingly empty. Later, while examining the image, they noticed something impossible to explain. A figure stood nearby, distinct and disturbingly close. The most unsettling part was that no one had seen it with the naked eye. It was as if the figure appeared only for the camera, or had always been there, hidden within the darkness. What do you think stood beside them that night? Write your thoughts in the comments. This photograph was taken at Barnard Castle in England. The image clearly shows a white figure, as if hiding near the ancient stone walls of the fortress. It is difficult to say whether this is a trick of light or something else entirely, but the shape appears too defined to dismiss as coincidence. Construction of Barnard Castle began in 1095, and it was once a favored place of King Richard III. Today, it is a protected heritage site, but its history seems to have taken on a darker life of its own. It is said that nearby pubs regularly capture strange videos featuring mysterious orbs, shadows, blurred figures, faces, and unexplained movements, as if something around the castle refuses to rest. This photograph only deepens the mystery of who, or what, still lingers within those old walls. What do you think was hiding there? Share your opinion. This photograph appeared on social media with no background story, but the image itself was enough to make hearts race. Behind the man, a female face can be discerned, not just a face, but a sinister silhouette with eyes that seemed to glow from within. Many who saw the photo said they felt as if someone invisible was watching them. A cold, creeping fear set in, the kind that reaches deep and lingers long after the image is gone. What do you think was captured behind him? Share your opinion in the comments. The man who took this photograph was initially just trying to identify the source of strange noises in his house. He was used to ordinary nighttime sounds, shifting walls, temperature changes, nothing unusual. But that night was different. He was alone when he heard persistent knocking, floorboards creaking, and, most disturbing of all, footsteps and the faint rustle of clothing, as if someone was slowly moving down the hallway. He pointed his phone toward the sounds and took a picture. What appeared in the image unsettled him deeply. A face seemed to be peering through a gap in the doorway. Blurred, but far too disturbing to ignore. Since that moment, he no longer feels safe in his own home. He admitted he is now looking for a new place to live. The photo, and the sounds that preceded it, convinced him that whatever was captured, he is no longer willing to stay under that roof. What do you think was looking through the door? Write in the comments. In this image, a young man is simply standing next to a car, an ordinary photo at first glance. But a friend immediately noticed a terrifying face emerging in the picture. Eyes, nose, mouth, everything was there, far too clear to be dismissed as coincidence. The two felt a sudden chill run through them. The face seemed to be watching, motionless, as if frozen between worlds. A simple photograph became something far more disturbing, leaving them with the feeling that even a familiar street is not as safe as it seems. What do you think appeared in this photo? Share your thoughts. This photograph was taken at Fairview Lawn Cemetery in Canada, the final resting place of more than 100 victims of the Titanic disaster. A team of researchers was simply taking random photos of the grounds, expecting nothing unusual. But one image made them stop. Among the calm rows of gravestones, a ghostly face seems to emerge, pale and blurred, as if trying to break through the mist between worlds. Many who have seen this photograph admit that once the face is noticed, a cold shiver runs through the body. What do you think appeared among the graves? Share your thoughts in the comments. A man found an old photograph of himself as a very young child and immediately noticed a strange figure standing behind him. A blurred but distinct face, far too detailed to be dismissed as a reflection or camera glare. He showed the photo to his mother, hoping for an explanation. She responded with certainty. On that day, he had been completely alone. That left only one question: who was standing behind the child in the photograph? Since discovering the image, the thought has never left him. What do you think was captured behind him? Write your thoughts in the comments. This photograph captures a family celebration, the father's birthday. Relatives gathered in the house, trying to maintain a warm and joyful atmosphere. Yet an unsettling feeling of being watched seemed to linger in the air. The night before, the family had heard light, quick footsteps upstairs, as if children were running and playing. Everyone assumed it was the friend's kids who were visiting, but one child was asleep downstairs on the couch, and the other was outside with his mother. The homeowner's brother later recalled seeing a dark figure standing on the staircase on the second floor while he was studying on the first. And now, in this photograph, it feels as though someone is once again watching the celebration, as if something from the house's past continues to follow them. What do you think was watching from above? Share your thoughts in the comments. The young woman found this photograph while sorting through an old family album in the attic. Among ordinary images of the past, this picture stood out, dark, cracked with age, yet disturbingly clear. The photo shows her great-great-grandmother holding a small girl, the woman's future grandmother. At first, it appears to be a typical family photo from the early 1900s. But in the center of the image, behind them, stands a third person. The figure does not belong. The face is blurred, the features indistinct, the eyes empty. The expression resembles a motionless shadow caught by accident. No one in the family had ever spoken about this person. No records existed. Even her grandmother admitted she remembered the photograph but could not explain who stood between them. Who do you think this figure was? Write your opinion in the comments. This photograph was taken in the year 2000 inside a pizzeria called The Godfather. According to witnesses who were present in the dining area at the time, the strange, ghost-like figure could be seen not only in the photograph, but also with the naked eye. The image appeared to hover among ordinary customers, creating a sense of unease that was difficult to ignore. People reported feeling an unexplainable presence, as if something invisible had entered the room and refused to leave. The atmosphere changed instantly. Conversations felt heavier, and several visitors admitted later that they felt watched, even after leaving the restaurant. What do you think was seen among the diners that night? Share your opinion in the comments. This photograph was taken in the early 2000s at the Blackpool Wax Museum in the United Kingdom. At first glance, it appears to be an ordinary picture. However, when looking closely at the window above the person's left shoulder, an unexplained face can be seen. The expression is strange and unsettling, as if someone unseen was watching from behind the glass. The face does not resemble any wax figure in the museum and appears distorted, frozen in a way that feels unnatural. What do you think was looking out from that window? Share your thoughts in the comments. The man explained that this photograph was taken by his father when he was still a child. He was simply taking pictures for fun, expecting nothing unusual. When the film was developed, a figure appeared in the image. Clear, recognizable, and completely impossible. It was their neighbor, a man who often visited their home and played with the father as a child. A neighbor who had been dead for 2 years by the time the photo was taken. After that, the father avoided speaking about the photograph. It was as if acknowledging what he saw might allow that figure to find its way back into their home. What do you think appeared in this image? Share your opinion in the comments. The young boy was visiting the Jedburgh Castle Jail Museum with his father. Together, they were photographing the dark cells and narrow corridors of the former 19th century reform prison. Several of the photos turned out poorly, and later the father began deleting the failed shots. But one image made him stop. In the accidental photograph, instead of his son's face, a floating figure appeared in the doorway of a prison cell. The outline of the silhouette was so clear that it could not be dismissed as glare or shadow. The father immediately realized that something had been captured that neither of them had seen with their own eyes. The prison, built in the 1820s and closed in 1868 due to its brutal conditions, has long been associated with dark rumors. Executions were carried out there, and decades later, after the building became a museum, visitors began reporting strange shadows, flickering lights, and human-like shapes appearing in the corridors. Until then, none of these stories have been supported by photographic evidence. The most infamous ghost of the jail is believed to be a prisoner named Edwin MacArthur, executed in 1855. According to legend, his spirit still wanders the cells, frightening those who linger too long. Now, for the first time, a photograph that was nearly deleted appears to show exactly such a presence. An ordinary failed shot may have become the most convincing proof that someone, or something, never left the old prison. What do you think was captured in this photo? Write your thoughts in the comments. This photograph was taken at the end of a carnival parade in Mazatlan. A father was taking a picture of his daughter with her friend. Only days later, while reviewing the photos, they noticed a small girl peeking out from beneath them. What made the image especially disturbing was the girl's gray skin. There was no clear explanation for how she could have been there. The walkway was far too high for a child to appear from below, and her appearance stood out sharply from the rest of the scene. The photograph left the family with a deep sense of unease, as if something unknown had intruded into their memory. Who do you think the child was? Write your thoughts in the comments. This photograph was taken by a young woman's aunt. Only later, while closely examining the image, she noticed a strange figure in a window, despite the fact that no one was inside the house at the time. The shape appeared to be watching quietly from within, as if something unseen had paused just long enough to be caught on camera. What do you think was standing in the window? Share your opinion in the comments. A group of friends often go skateboarding and enjoy taking group photos. Everything seemed normal until they began reviewing their pictures. One detail stood out immediately. Another photo, taken just moments before this one, showed no one behind them. But in this image, a tall figure appears in the background. Considering the time the photo was taken, it was unlikely that anyone could have been inside the shop behind them. It was already closed. And the figure itself appears far too tall to be an ordinary person. What exactly was captured in this photo remains unknown. What do you think it was? Share your thoughts in the comments. This photograph was taken during a recent fire in Despenaderos, Argentina. What began as a routine report on firefighters' work quickly turned into a mystery. In one image published by the municipality on social media, attentive viewers noticed a strange figure in the background. The silhouette appears to be watching the scene silently and motionlessly, like a witness or a guardian. The image spread rapidly across Argentine social media. Some believe the photo captured a ghost or spiritual entity. Others see a resemblance to the Virgin Mary and interpret it as a sign of protection during a dangerous moment. Skeptics suggest a more rational explanation: pareidolia, a psychological effect in which the brain perceives familiar shapes in smoke, shadows, or random patterns. The municipality of Despenaderos declined to comment on the nature of the figure. It is known only that the fire was successfully contained, no one was injured, and no buildings suffered serious damage. Still, the question remains: was it merely smoke and light, or something more? What do you think appeared in this photo? Share your thoughts in the comments. The author shared this photograph taken inside the tower where he works, warning viewers that it appears to show the spirit of a young girl. The photo was taken during a normal day, with no special effects or editing. Yet upon closer inspection, a strange figure becomes visible, transparent, fragile, barely distinguishable against the stone walls of the tower. It appears to be watching, standing or gliding through the corridor, leaving behind a quiet sense of unease. What do you think was captured in this tower? Write your thoughts in the comments. The Reddit user who shared this photograph had always been openly skeptical of paranormal stories. He did not believe in ghosts, signs, or unexplained appearances. This image changed that. He grew up in a small town tucked between two mountains. 2 years earlier, the town's old elementary school, a building familiar to every local resident, was being demolished. One day, a friend of his mother took several photos with a regular phone to document the demolition. Later, while reviewing the images, they noticed something no one had seen at the time. Standing clearly in the doorway of the disappearing school was the figure of a small boy. He appears calm and silent, as if watching the destruction unfold, as though he doesn't understand why his place is being erased. The author stresses that this was a raw phone photo with no editing. Hardly anyone in the town knows how to use Photoshop, and there was no reason to fake anything. I don't believe in things like this, he admitted, but I don't know how to explain it. And that is what makes the image truly unsettling. When even a skeptic has no rational answer, the fear feels real. What do you think was standing in that doorway? Write your thoughts in the comments. During a football club match, one fan noticed something unusual in a photograph taken behind one of the players. In the image, a strange figure is clearly visible, something that does not belong in the normal background. Its shape and the way the light reflects off it give the impression of something unreal. The observer compared it to a UFO, something foreign and unexplainable, as if an object from another world was hovering directly behind the player. What do you think was captured here? Share your opinion in the comments. The owner of this photograph claims it was taken by her friends using an iPhone 4 or 5. The woman on the left was intentionally blurred for privacy reasons. What makes the image truly disturbing is what appears behind her. At the moment the photo was taken, there was no one else inside the house. No people, no furniture, no objects of any kind were present in that spot. And yet, the photograph captured something dark and unsettling, a shadowy shape resembling a hidden figure that seems to have emerged from nowhere. The author of the image admits that no logical explanation has ever been found. To this day, they continue to question what exactly appeared in the frame. A trick of the light, a camera malfunction, or was someone, or something, standing behind the woman at the exact moment the photo was taken. What do you think was captured here? Share your thoughts in the comments. This photograph was taken more than 30 years ago and had always been considered completely ordinary. It sat in storage for decades, surviving moves, boxes, and old photo albums. One day, the owner decided to review his old photos and share them online. That was when the past seemed to reveal itself. In the background, where there had once been nothing but a blurred backdrop, the figure of a small boy suddenly became visible. The owner claims he can even make out light-colored hair and what appears to be a cowboy hat. The strangest part is that no child was present at the time the photo was taken. No one remembers a small cowboy. No one can explain where the boy came from. So who, or what, appeared in the background after all these years? What do you think it is? Write your opinion in the comments. In 1929, Mr. Walsh was renovating his home and decided to document the staircase for his project. The only living being in the house with him was his loyal dog, who had been acting strangely restless all day. When the photograph was developed, Mr. Walsh was left in genuine shock. At the top of the staircase landing, a pale white figure stood clearly visible. There were no people and no objects that should have been there. Only him and his dog had been inside the house. Mr. Walsh insisted on the authenticity of the image for the rest of his life. He lived another 14 years and never changed his story, maintaining that the photograph captured something unexplainable that had been present in his home. What do you think was standing on the stairs? Write your thoughts in the comments. During a holiday dinner, friends gathered around a table filled with laughter, conversation, and food. The atmosphere felt completely normal, warm and familiar. But one detail disturbed that sense of comfort. One of the women mentioned that earlier that morning she had seen a white figure quietly pass by. She told the others, but no one recognized the shape or could connect it to anyone they knew. The photo leaves behind an uneasy feeling. The celebration continues, but something unseen seems to linger silently among the guests. What do you think was present at that dinner? Share your opinion in the comments. This photo was taken in a bar in the United Kingdom while staff were preparing to celebrate St. George's Day. At the time, no one noticed anything unusual. Everything seemed routine, but later, while reviewing the image, staff spotted a strange face appearing between two employees. The face looks out of place, watching, yet belonging to no one present. No one could explain its appearance then, and it remains unexplained to this day. Who do you think was looking from between them? Share your thoughts. Lisa says this photo was taken at her wedding 40 years ago. At the time, it was not included in the album. Another shot was chosen instead. Years later, after her uncle, who had also been a photographer, passed away, the image was found among old test prints. It quickly became clear that this was no ordinary photograph. In the upper left corner, just behind the heads of her brother-in-law and cousin, a strange figure appears. Its head looks smaller than the others, and something like a thin veil seems to cover it. The photo was taken on a side staircase, making reflections highly unlikely. Lisa has always believed it was a spirit that somehow entered her wedding photo. Whether it is a trick of light, an anomaly, or something supernatural, the image leaves a deeply unsettling impression. Who do you think attended that wedding uninvited? Share your thoughts. This photo of an old house in Ithaca, Michigan, carries a troubling history for the family. The home was bought by the owner's grandparents in the 1950s. Its previous owner, who had been in a psychiatric hospital, claimed a piano constantly played in the basement. In desperation, he had pounded on the basement door, leaving marks that remained for years. When this photo was taken, the house was empty. Yet in the window, two figures appear to be looking out at the photographer. Combined with other strange events in the house, the image remains one of the most unsettling reminders of its haunted past. Who do you think was watching from inside? Write in the comments. This old photograph shows a man standing with his son. Years later, while reviewing family photos, he noticed something disturbing, a dark hand-shaped form resting on his back. He insists it could not be the child's hand. That day, they were completely alone. This single unexplained detail turned an ordinary family memory into a chilling mystery, hinting at an unseen presence. Whose hand do you think that was? Share your thoughts. A boy was playing with a new phone and took a picture of his mother. Later, when he looked at the photo, a pale, ghost-like face had appeared beside her, something that had not been there when the picture was taken. The woman says she does not smoke or vape, so smoke can be completely ruled out. The strange figure seemed to appear from nowhere. An optical illusion, or a spirit caught on camera. What do you think this face was? Share your thoughts in the comments. In this photograph, a strange anomaly can be seen near a young girl, an unclear form that does not fit into the scene and immediately draws attention. At the moment the picture was taken, no one present noticed anything unusual. Only later, when carefully examining the image, did this detail become obvious. It is this mysterious and difficult to explain figure that turned an ordinary family photo into a disturbing mystery, leaving behind far more questions than answers. What do you think this shape was? Write your thoughts in the comments. What was meant to be a simple photo of a child playing turned into a shocking discovery. The parents only wanted to capture a happy moment in their young son's life, but later, when reviewing the picture, they were stunned. In the image, a female figure seems to emerge, holding the child. Her face appears distorted, as if she is screaming or calling out. Strangely, no one saw anything like this at the moment the photo was taken, which makes her appearance in the image deeply unsettling. The owner shares the photo out of curiosity, inviting others to decide what the camera really captured, a trick of light and shadow, or something beyond normal explanation. The image has already sparked debate and leaves behind more questions than answers. What do you think appeared in this photo? Write in the comments. A man sent this photo to prove to his girlfriend that he was really at work. That day, he was the only person on site. However, when looking more closely at the image, something disturbing becomes noticeable. It looks as if someone is sitting in the passenger seat of the car. If he was truly alone at the location, who or what ended up in the photo? What do you think was sitting in that seat? Write your opinion in the comments. Amy shared this photo, saying she had shown it to friends many times over the years and recently came across it again. At the time, she and her future husband were just dating and had visited his parents' house with their dog, Cody. As a child, Chris sometimes said he felt a presence in one of the rooms while trying to sleep. Amy may not have known that at the time the photo was taken. Later, her mother-in-law printed the pictures and, while looking at them, suddenly said, "Oh, look, another face." Amy explains that believing in ghosts or dismissing it all as imagination is a personal choice. Most of the family remains skeptical, which she understands. But according to her, Cody the dog clearly reacted to someone, or something, in that house, and Amy herself is convinced there is something unexplainable there. They even tried to recreate the conditions that could have caused the effect, but nothing worked. A normal painting of a waterfall and mountains hangs on the wall. The house is residential now, but it once stood on farmland, and Amy still wonders what may have existed there long before. For her, this is one of the strangest and most meaningful photos she owns, an image that only strengthens the uneasy feeling that has always surrounded that house. What do you think appeared in the room? Share your thoughts in the comments. The owner of this image, Heather, says the photo was taken around 2009. She immediately points out an important detail. There was no dog in the car, and at that time, they did not have any pets at all. That is why the image is so confusing and unsettling for her. The photograph clearly shows something that resembles a dog, even though nothing like that existed in reality. Since then, this photo has remained an unexplained and chilling reminder of that moment. What do you think appeared in the car? Write your opinion in the comments. The owner shared this strange photo taken aboard the Queen Mary, in the first-class pool area. In the image, a figure suddenly appears, something that does not show up in any other photos taken just before or after. It seems to have appeared out of nowhere. Its outline is unclear, yet it creates the uneasy feeling of a foreign and possibly sinister presence. Those who look at the photos say the figure seems to be watching, silently observing everything around it. What do you think appeared on the ship that day? Write your opinion in the comments. The owner says this photo was taken by a friend's niece at a school in the United Kingdom. In a mirror, a figure can be seen that looks strikingly similar to their late friend, same height, same silhouette. She passed away on February 7, 2006, and now appears frozen in the reflection. The photo is shown alongside a picture of the deceased woman. Viewers are left to decide for themselves: coincidence, camera trick, or something beyond explanation. What do you think is reflected in that mirror? Write in the comments. This image was taken in the London Underground on October 6, 2012, on the way to a concert. Nothing strange was noticed at the time, but a week later, while reviewing the photos, the author's sister and a friend, who had not even been there that day, zoomed in on the picture. Behind him, they discovered a strange and deeply unsettling figure. It frightened them so badly that they panicked and dropped the laptop on the floor. The author says he is open to reasonable explanations, but the figure looks too disturbing to simply ignore. What do you think appeared behind him in the subway? Share your thoughts. In a photo taken by Samuel in 2015, something unexpected appeared. He clearly remembers that only 4 people were in the room at the time. Yet in the picture, it looks like a 5th figure has appeared. Doubts remain. Was it a trick of the light, a camera defect, or something supernatural? The image feels like scenes from classic ghost stories, where strangers appear in photographs long after the moment has passed. Whether someone believes in the paranormal or not, this photo creates a deep sense of mystery. What do you think the camera captured? Share your thoughts in the comments. This photograph was taken during a night tour inside the Myrtles house. Later, while looking through the pictures, a relative noticed a strange figure in one of the shots, something no one had seen at the moment the photo was taken. A chilling question immediately came to mind. Could the image show one of the Woodruff children, whose spirits are said to still haunt the property? What do you think was caught in this historic house? Write your opinion in the comments. This photo captured an unknown presence that seemed to join a family during a weekend in the mountains. The picture was taken in November 1996. According to the man who shared it, this entity has followed his family for generations. He is the youngest of 6 children, and after his parents passed away, it seems the dark figure stayed with him. When the film was developed, he felt both shock and relief. For the first time, there was physical proof of what had long been talked about in the family. 3 independent experts examined the photo and agreed on one thing: it was not a film defect or processing error. They could only say what it wasn't, but not what it was. When the image was shown to the TV show Sightings, producers wanted to investigate further but needed the original negative. At the time, it had been lost. Years later, it was unexpectedly found again. Though scanning attempts were imperfect, the original still exists. Silent proof, he believes, that the presence never left and is still watching. What do you think has been following this family? Share your thoughts in the comments. The owner of this image says strange things have happened in their home before. But that evening felt different. He was not home. His wife was alone when the dog suddenly began barking wildly and acting terrified. Frightened, she checked the security cameras and took a screenshot of what she saw. The cameras had been installed only recently because of break-ins in the area. Her phone was new too, making it unlikely that an old image could have somehow appeared on the screen. A year and a half earlier, the couple had lost their son. When they looked closely at the screenshot, they noticed what looked like the outline of a face. When compared to a photo of the boy, the resemblance seemed disturbingly close. The owner admits it could be grief shaping what they see, but the feeling from the image refuses to fade. That is why it was shared, in hopes of understanding whether it was just coincidence or something far more unsettling. What do you think appeared on the camera? Share your thoughts. This photo was uploaded by Jocelyn DeWalt. She says the picture was taken about 10 years ago. The little girl in the image was being babysat by her daughter's cousin, who was simply taking pictures of the child dancing when a dark figure suddenly appeared in the background. No one present noticed anything strange at the time. Only later, while reviewing the photo, did they see the silhouette, something that clearly should not have been there. Jocelyn insists the image is authentic, with no editing or filters. That is what makes the photo so disturbing. It left a heavy feeling with everyone who saw it and still raises questions that have never been answered. What do you think was standing behind the dancing child? Write your opinion in the comments. A woman said this photo was taken around 2010 with her best friend. When they first looked at the pictures, they were overwhelmed with fear. In the second image, something strange can clearly be seen between them, something that does not seem to belong in this world. Even more disturbing, in the next two photos the figure seems to vanish, leaving behind only the sense that something unexplained had been there moments before. The pictures appear to have captured a moment that cannot be repeated or explained, a split second when reality brushed against something unknown. What do you think appeared between them? Share your opinion. An employee of Langley Castle in Northumberland says this photo was taken by a guest staying at the castle. It shows a very tall, thin figure, not shaped like an ordinary person. Searching for answers, the photo was shared to hear what others think. Whatever it may be, the image sparks curiosity and carries the heavy sense of mystery that seems to cling to old stone walls and historic places. What do you think was standing in the castle? Write your thoughts. The boy in this photo chose to tell his story only many years later. As a child, he often saw strange entities in the house but stayed silent. Fear kept him quiet. He was afraid no one would believe him. Nearly 20 years passed before he looked again at an old childhood photo and realized the proof had been there all along. In the picture, beside him and his mother, a dark figure can be seen. It stands out ominously against the room, almost as if it is staring directly at them. He believes this was the same presence that followed him throughout his childhood. Even now, as an adult, he admits he still cannot return to that house and stay there alone. What do you think was standing beside them? Share your thoughts in the comments. These photos belong to Jolene Hall. According to her, they were taken in May during a bachelorette party in Edinburgh. Her friends had planned a surprise ghost tour through the city, which led the group into the famous underground vaults. While the guide spoke about the dark history of the place, one of the women took photos. Behind the group stood an American couple, a woman in a cap and a man slightly behind her. Nothing seemed strange at the time. But later, while reviewing the pictures, Jolene noticed something disturbing. The man's face appeared to change from shot to shot, and around him strange, distorted faces seemed to form. Some of this was noticed in person. his expression changed. During the tour, he had been talkative, but as they left the vaults, he suddenly went silent, so abruptly that one of the friends asked if he was okay. He responded shortly and coldly, "I'm fine." These images are screenshots from the originals. What was discovered later left everyone deeply uneasy, with the strong feeling that something more than a simple tour had taken place in those underground chambers.
Behind Diana, something pale sat silently in the pews, a ghostly woman draped in white, her small hat tilted slightly to the side, her clothes from another century. The photo captured her perfectly, though no one remembered seeing anyone there. When Diana and her husband returned to the church the next summer, they questioned the staff, asking if anyone had ever seen a woman like that. The priest hesitated, then spoke of the White Lady, known among locals as the Healer. According to legend, she appears beside those in need of recovery, sometimes to comfort, sometimes to warn. Diana remembered she had been sick during that time, unable to shake a strange illness. After that visit, she recovered completely. The mysterious woman behind her was never seen again, but the image remains a haunting reminder that perhaps something, or someone, had been watching over her. Jim Templeton had only wanted a quiet day with his wife and daughter by the water. He took a few pictures of his little girl smiling in the grass, nothing out of the ordinary. But when the film came back, his heart froze. Behind her stood a tall, white figure, looming silently. It looked almost human, yet its proportions and stance were wrong. The face was blurred, but the shape resembled a helmet. Kodak examined the film, confirming it was untouched. No double exposure, no manipulation. News spread quickly, and people called the figure the Solway Firth spaceman. Some said it was a time traveler, others, an otherworldly visitor. Jim swore no one else was there. The marshlands were empty. To this day, the photo remains unexplained, a moment of something impossible caught forever on film. This image, taken by police officers, shows a dark house in Gary, Indiana, the home of LaToya Ammons and her children. In the photo, a figure can be seen in the right window, solid, human-shaped, staring out. Officer Austin Gary didn't believe in ghosts at first. He thought the story was another attempt to make headlines. But after visiting the home, interviewing witnesses, and snapping a few photos, he changed his mind. Neighbors claimed they heard screams and footsteps at night, long after the house was empty. Even the police dog refused to enter. The air felt thick and cold, and the moment Austin reviewed the photo, he whispered, "Now I believe." The house was later demolished, but locals still say they see lights moving inside the empty lot, long after midnight. The man who took this photo insisted that no one was standing in the doorway of his new family home in Chicago when he pressed the shutter. Yet the picture tells a different story. Two shapes appear in the open door, the figure of an elderly woman and the faint outline of a dog at her side. Their forms are hazy, but their presence undeniable. Some believe they were former residents of the property, returning to what was once theirs. Others think they were simply passing through, caught between worlds for a single moment, long enough to be seen, then gone again. This photograph was taken of a window in the old courthouse building in Alabama. At first glance, it looks like dirt or a stain on the glass, until you notice the unmistakable outline of a man's face. Locals claim it belongs to Henry Wells, a slave who once hid in the courthouse to escape a lynch mob. He was caught and killed, but his terrified image is said to have burned itself into the window. Decades of cleaning and replacing the glass never made it disappear. The face always returns, staring out at those who dare to look too long. In Louisiana, there stands a plantation said to be home to at least a dozen ghosts, most believed to be the spirits of enslaved people who once lived and died there. In one photograph, taken by a visitor during a tour, a distant figure can be seen standing in the shadows of a field. The outline is tall and distinctly male, yet the photographer swore no one else was there. Paranormal investigators later confirmed that the spot where the figure appeared aligns with the graves of several workers buried without markers. Even now, guests report footsteps in the grass, whispers near the trees, and a cold presence that seems to follow them back to their cars. In 1916, retired Scotland Yard Inspector Arthur Springer took a photograph in Tinchwick, Buckinghamshire. At the moment the shutter clicked, there was no dog in the frame, yet when the film was developed, the translucent shape of a dog stood clearly in the image. Its body was faint, its eyes dark and sorrowful. Locals whispered that Springer had captured the spirit of a loyal hound that died decades earlier but continued to wander the fields where it once lived. Some claimed the photo was a mere optical illusion. Others insisted it was proof that not all souls, even animal ones, find peace. In the woods of Georgia, a family discovered an abandoned hunting cabin. They decided to take a few photos before leaving. During the shoot, one family member suddenly felt a rush of cold air pass by, though there was no wind. Later, when they looked through the pictures on their computer, they noticed a dark, fast-moving figure crossing the frame. Experts insisted it was simply a human caught mid-motion, blurred by low light. But believers saw something else, a translucent form with no clear edges, glowing faintly against the trees. Some say it might be the spirit of a hunter who vanished in those woods decades ago. What do you think? Camera trick or ghost caught in motion? The final image in this collection was taken inside an old church in France using a simple film camera. The photographer, a studio technician with 10 years of experience, said he had never seen anything like it. In the photo, a shadowy figure seems to walk directly through the church doors, holding something bright in its hands, perhaps a candle or something far stranger. The woman who had ordered the photo prints was so terrified when she saw the image that she refused to collect them, leaving the picture, and the mystery, behind. The church has since been closed to the public, but locals claim lights still flicker behind its sealed doors at night. What do you think? Was it just a trick of the camera, or something that was never meant to be seen? At first, nothing seemed strange about this late-night photo. Someone was simply checking whether the door was locked before bed and snapped a picture in the dark. But in the morning, when they looked closer, a pale face appeared behind a heavy curtain. The features are barely visible, eyes hollow, mouth faintly open, as if someone was watching from the darkness where the light couldn't reach. According to local lore, a woman once lived in that house and vanished without a trace. Since her disappearance, residents have reported glimpses of her, silent, staring from behind the curtains. Was it coincidence? A trick of the shadows? Or the last remnant of a restless spirit still watching from the dark? What do you think? Leave your thoughts in the comments. It was taken in 2016, two brothers standing at the front of Blackpool Beach early one morning, the sun barely rising. Their mother snapped the photo, proud of her sons. Everything seemed normal, but when she zoomed in later, her smile vanished. Between the boys' legs, a small dark shape stood, too solid to be a shadow, too still to be human. They looked around the beach immediately after, but no one was there. The sand was untouched. The tide quiet. Some say the photo shows a lost child who drowned near that very spot years ago. Others claim it's just a trick of the light. What do you think? A camera glitch, or something still wandering the shore? Late one evening, a store employee and her manager were closing up when they decided to take a quick picture near the self-checkout. Moments later, a strange sound echoed through the aisles, a tone that wasn't from any alarm or phone. The checkout light suddenly turned on by itself. They left immediately. Later, when reviewing the photo, a dark human-shaped shadow could be seen standing beside one of the empty registers. Its proportions were wrong, elongated, distorted. When the image was brightened, the shape became even clearer, as though it was watching them. Was it a trick of lighting, or did something decide to stay behind after closing hours? What do you think was standing there? This photograph was taken in 1987 using a 35mm camera, purely by chance, on the anniversary of a tragic death. The photographer didn't know the story of Sue Howard Hardy, a woman who died nearly a century earlier, shortly after her child was stillborn. He wasn't seeking ghosts. He simply captured a picture of an old grave. But when the film was developed, a faint, translucent figure of a woman appeared near the tomb. She seemed to be mourning, head bowed, hands clasped. It was taken exactly 99 years after her death. Experts examined the photo and confirmed it hadn't been altered. Many believe it shows Sue herself, still grieving the child she never got to hold. What do you think? Coincidence, or proof that love and sorrow never fade? Hospitals are unsettling places at night, filled with echoes and dim, endless corridors. This photo was taken at Leeds General Infirmary by Andrew Milburn, a man who never believed in ghosts. One evening, he snapped a quick picture in a hallway to show his girlfriend where he was working. Nothing strange about that. But when he looked closer, his blood ran cold. In the photo, a faint white figure appears, a nurse, or perhaps a child, rushing into a room at the end of the corridor. No one else was in the hospital wing that night. No alarms, no movement detected. Just silence. Andrew's skepticism vanished after that. He'd seen the impossible. What do you think? The ghost of a former patient, or a trick of the light? During a summer trip to Bilbao, Spain, a tourist entered the Cathedral de Santiago and began taking photos of its interior. The light was warm, the air still. Nothing seemed unusual until later, back at the hotel. In the center of one photo, a ghostly figure appeared, the faint image of a man with a beard and solemn eyes, hovering just above the floor. Some said it resembled St. James, the church's patron. Even more curious, a glowing orb floated near the figure's chest, right at the center of the image. Was it a miracle, or a message from something divine, or something else entirely? What do you think was captured in this sacred place?
This photograph was taken 9 years ago in a rented house. The girl who took it said there was absolutely nothing behind her, just an empty hallway. Even her dog, sitting nearby, was staring at the same direction. When she looked closer, she froze. Behind her, a pale, human-shaped figure seemed to stare directly into the camera. Its eyes were pitch black, hollow, as if missing entirely. She swore she was home alone that night. So, who, or what, was standing there? What do you think? A trick of light, or something truly watching her? This final image was taken by clinic staff and quickly spread online. At first glance, it shows nothing unusual, just an empty wheelchair in a hallway. But when you look at the floor's reflection, a faint human figure appears standing right beside it. No one was in the frame when the photo was taken. No shadows matched the shape. Many believe it's the spirit of a patient who once used that chair, still waiting to be moved one last time. Could this be proof that even reflections remember the dead? Early one morning, a woman awoke to find something horrifying staring down at her. On the ceiling above her bed appeared a distorted face, pale, eyeless, and stretched, as though pressed from the other side of the wall. She snapped a picture in panic. Even in the dim light, the features are unmistakable: hollow sockets, a twisted mouth, and the faint outline of shoulders fading into the plaster. No one has been able to explain the image. The marks disappeared days later, but she swears she still hears quiet movements above her at night. Is it pareidolia, or something trying to break through from the dark? Driving home one night, a man felt an unshakable sense that he wasn't alone. The air inside the car felt heavy. Glancing at the rearview mirror, he quickly snapped a photo and froze. In the mirror, right behind his passenger, a pale, smiling face stared back. It wasn't his friend. It wasn't anyone he knew. The grin was too wide, the eyes too hollow. He showed the photo to others. Every reaction was the same: shock, disbelief, fear. Was it a trick of the glass? Or had something unseen joined them for the ride? Look closely. Do you see it too? It was the night before Halloween. The children stood by the window, watching the street as their grandfather took a picture to capture the moment. Later, when he looked closely, he saw it, a dark figure standing right beside the kids. Its face was shadowed, its eyes faintly glowing. The shape seemed to blend into the night outside, yet its outline was distinct enough to send chills through anyone who looked. Some say it was a reflection, others believe it was something else. Something that decided to appear on that thin night between the living and the dead. Was it just a trick of light, or had the spirits truly crossed over that evening? A couple visited a ship famous for its haunted reputation to celebrate a birthday. They took several photos and videos, none remarkable, except one. Inside the Winston Churchill Lounge, deep in the back of the ship, the wife snapped a picture while her husband stood a few feet away. They were alone. Moments later, she gasped. In the image, a dark anomaly appeared, faint but unmistakable. The couple swears there was no one there. The guide later told them that passengers have long reported seeing figures appear in mirrors or reflected surfaces in that lounge. Was it a trick of the camera, or one of the ship's lost souls still wandering the decks? As a child, one visitor to the famous ship Queen Mary took 2 photos inside what's known as the haunted closet. In both, the same chilling figure appears, a shape standing near a girl, its hand seemingly resting on her neck. Witnesses recall that right after taking the first photo, the child burst into tears, terrified by what they saw. When the second picture was taken, the same shadow appeared again, unmoving, as if posing for the camera. Experts have analyzed the photo for years and found no sign of editing. Crew members claim that this part of the ship is one of its most haunted, tied to unexplained deaths during its service. What was that figure? A reflection, or one of the Queen Mary's restless spirits still lingering in the dark halls?
In 1959, Mabel Chineri visited her mother's grave. It was a quiet, gray afternoon. On her way home, she snapped a casual picture of her husband sitting behind the wheel, smiling faintly. When she developed the photo later, her blood ran cold. On the back seat, visible through the window, was another face, sharp, ghostly pale, with unmistakable eyes. Mabel's mother, the woman whose grave she had just visited. Experts reviewed the image but found no sign of tampering. For Mabel, the message was clear. Her mother had wanted one last ride home. Photographer Neil Sandbach was scouting locations for a countryside wedding in Hertfordshire. It was peaceful, quiet, perfect for his clients. He took a few test shots around the barn, capturing the light and setting. But later, when he looked at the developed photos, a chill ran down his spine. In one frame, standing by the barn door, was a glowing figure of a young boy in white clothing. His face was blurred, his body faintly transparent. When Neil showed the image to the couple, they fell silent. "We've heard stories," they said, "about a ghost boy who wanders these fields. Some claim he was a farmhand who died centuries ago in an accident. Others say he was buried nearby, never found peace. But since that photo was taken, many refuse to be alone near that barn at night." A visitor to the Ulster Folk and Transport Museum in Northern Ireland took what should have been a harmless picture inside an old train carriage. He was alone, or so he thought. When the photo was developed, two more passengers appeared. One sat to his left, a gaunt man with hollow eyes, staring directly at the camera. The other, on the right, had clearer features and even cast a reflection on the polished floor. Investigators who reviewed the image claimed it was impossible. There was no one else inside, and the lighting made reflections from outside unlikely. The man who took the picture said he no longer rides trains. "If they're still traveling," he said quietly, "I want no part in their journey." In 1982, photographer Chris Brackley visited a church in London. The building was quiet, filled with echoing whispers of the past. He took several photos of the interior: empty pews, stone arches, flickering candles. Later, when he reviewed the film, one picture stood out. In the upper loft, where no one had been standing, was a pale, transparent figure, gazing down. Chris confirmed only 4 people were inside the church that day, none near that spot. Experts examined the film. No tricks, no reflections, no double exposure. It was real. The Decibel Hotel in Romania had stood abandoned for years, its walls crumbling and its silence oppressive. Locals avoided it, claiming a tall woman roamed the halls, a spirit guarding the ancient Roman treasures buried beneath the foundation. In 2008, Victoria Iovan entered the hotel with her boyfriend, camera in hand. She took photos of the grand staircase, the cracked walls, the fading murals. Later, at home, she noticed something impossible. Behind her boyfriend stood a translucent woman, tall and regal, wearing a flowing white gown. Her face was serene, but her eyes, empty. Victoria said it looked like a priestess, a guardian of the past. Experts tried to debunk the image, but nothing could explain the figure's presence. Since then, explorers who've entered the Decibel Hotel claim to hear soft footsteps following them, even when they're completely alone. In one scene, actor Ted Danson stands by a window, and just behind the curtain, a young boy appears, pale and expressionless, staring straight into the camera. Danson swore no such boy was present, and neither the director nor the crew recalled hiring a child actor. The room had been empty, at least, it was supposed to be. The image of the boy, half hidden but unmistakable, chilled everyone who saw it. Some say it was the spirit of a child who once lived in the building before it became a film set. Others believe it was something darker, something drawn to the energy of the production. Whatever it was, that haunting little face burned itself into cinematic history, a ghost that managed to sneak into Hollywood. In 2021, 26-year-old Tyler Caranajos captured a photo at Pine Hill Cemetery in Hollis, New Hampshire, a place known for its grim legends. The chilling image shows a translucent figure standing directly over a grave, its outline faint but unmistakable. Tyler had gone there to visit the resting place of Abel Blood, a man rumored to have been a murderer with ties to the occult. Locals claim Blood's ghost still haunts the cemetery, guarding his grave as if protecting dark secrets he took to the other side. When Tyler reviewed the photo, the air grew cold, and he realized the stories might not have been just rumors after all. In 2008, photographer Neil Sandbach was scouting an English farm for a commercial project. It was an ordinary job, until one photograph changed everything. In the corner of a building, barely visible, stood a glowing figure of a small child. Its outline shimmered faintly, like light trapped in mist. When Neil showed the image to the farm staff, several nodded uneasily. They had seen the same glowing boy wandering the property at night. No one knew who he was, only that he appeared near the old barns, silent, watching, and then gone. This eerie photo was taken moments after a fatal car crash. Rising from the wreckage, a faint white mist seems to take human shape, walking slowly away from the crushed vehicle. Many believe the image shows the exact moment a soul left its body, a silent departure caught by accident, lingering between life and death. This haunting photograph was taken at Tantallon Castle in Scotland. Behind the iron bars of a crumbling window, a face appeared, pale, dressed in what looked like ancient clothing. Yet at the time the photo was taken, the castle was completely empty and closed to the public. Experts analyzed the image and confirmed it was not a trick of the light or a digital alteration. Curious investigators visited the site to test whether a real person could have been hiding there. The only way to recreate the figure's position would have been for someone to kneel in a narrow stone alcove, a space impossible to reach without breaking in. No intruder was ever found. The castle remains silent, but those who visit say they still feel eyes watching them from the windows. In 1924, sailors James Courtney and Michael Meehan, crew members aboard the merchant ship Watertown, died in a tragic steam accident while crossing from New York through the Panama Canal. Their bodies were buried at sea off the coast of Mexico on December 4th. The next day, a sailor shouted that he could see faces in the water. 2 faces, the same men who had just been buried. Over the following days, nearly every crew member, including Captain Keith Tracy, reported seeing the same thing, 2 disembodied faces, drifting just beneath the waves, appearing and fading like ghosts. When the ship docked in New Orleans, the captain was advised to document the phenomenon. He brought a camera aboard, and during the next voyage, the faces returned. Tracy took 6 photos and locked the camera in a safe. Upon reaching New York, the film was developed. 5 of the photos showed nothing unusual, but the 6th revealed the unmistakable faces of Courtney and Meehan, staring from the sea. No editing, no trick. After a new crew took over the Watertown, the faces were never seen again. On October 30th, 2018, around 6:15 p.m., Dave Newnham was inspecting footpaths near the Delago Bridge in Ceredigion, Wales, when he saw a woman standing motionless in the river Wystwyth. Concerned she might be in danger, he approached, but quickly realized something was terribly wrong. The figure was unnaturally still, her pale reflection trembling on the surface of the water. When Dave tried to call out, she simply dissolved into the mist. Shocked, he raised his camera and managed to take one photo before she vanished completely. Later, he would tell investigators, "I thought she needed help, but she wasn't human." The Whaley House in San Diego is drenched in tragedy. Countless visitors have claimed to see strange figures and hear footsteps echoing through empty rooms. This particular photo, taken in the living room, shows a faint figure sitting quietly on the couch. The shape appears to be that of a woman wearing old-fashioned clothing, her head slightly bowed. Many believe it to be the ghost of Anna Whaley, the matriarch of the family, who continues to dwell in her home long after her death. Guides say the air in that room is always colder, as if something unseen still occupies the space. Do you believe that spirits can remain where they once lived? Another eerie image that quickly gained attention online. The photo shows a man standing in front of his house, but in the window behind him, a shadowy female figure can be seen. Her form is faint but clearly human, standing completely still, watching him. Some say it's just a reflection or trick of the light. Others believe it's the ghost of a woman who once lived there, forever staring out the same window where her life ended. The expression on her pale, indistinct face seems full of sorrow or warning. What could she be watching for? This chilling story comes from the quiet countryside of Kentucky. Local legend tells of a soldier who, in a fit of rage, threw his wife from a bridge into the dark river below. Her body was never recovered. Years later, a photograph was taken near that same bridge, and in it, a faint, floating figure can be seen, resembling a woman dressed in white. Residents claim her spirit still wanders the area, soaked and silent, waiting for someone who never came back. Some say, on foggy nights, her sobs can still be heard under the bridge. What do you think? Is this just a story, or something more? Easton Cemetery in Connecticut is one of the most haunted burial grounds in the United States. Its ghostly reputation draws curious visitors from all over the country. The image in question appears to show a glowing woman standing among the graves, her long dress trailing like mist. Locals say she's the White Lady, a restless spirit who appears on the nearby roads at night. Many drivers report seeing her suddenly materialize in front of their cars, forcing them to swerve. Some survived to tell the story, others didn't. Those who've seen her face describe it as lifeless and sorrowful, as if mourning something she can never reclaim. What was she looking for that night? A family photograph turned into a nightmare when a woman captured her nephews playing in the living room. Later, when the image was enlarged, a dark face appeared, staring at the children from the screen of the turned-off television. Its left side was shrouded in shadow, its expression empty yet unnervingly human. There was nothing in the room that could have created such a reflection. Later, the family learned that the previous owner of the house had taken his own life there. The photo remains one of the most disturbing ever shared online, as if the man's spirit was still trying to be seen. What do you see in the reflection? This photograph was taken in 2003 inside an abandoned tuberculosis hospital that operated from 1926 to 1961. The building had long been a source of local fear: creaking doors, whispers in the halls, cold spots where no draft could reach. In the photo, two women stand posing for the camera, unaware of what's behind them. Through the cracked window, a dark figure can be seen staring directly at them. The floor level makes it impossible for anyone to have been standing there from outside. Investigators later confirmed there was no one else in the building that night. Was it one of the long-dead patients, still watching from behind the glass? A group of paranormal investigators was invited to explore an old, abandoned hotel in Arkansas. The building had a dark history, mysterious deaths, strange sounds, lights flickering without reason. During their investigation, they took a series of photos in one of the hallways. In one frame, a tall, human-like shape appeared at the far end of the corridor. The figure looked translucent, almost fading into the walls, yet distinctly humanoid. None of the team members had been near that spot. Some say it was the ghost of a drifter who died there long ago, still searching for the room he never found. What was really standing there that night? In 2012, a young woman lost her twin sister to suicide. Months later, while experimenting with her first smartphone, she snapped sepia-toned photos of her dog for fun. The lighting was dim, the flash reflected oddly off the furniture. Nothing seemed out of place. Weeks later, she looked again, and saw a face in the background. It was faint, blurred, but unmistakable. The same soft features, the same eyes. Only this face appeared to be crying, tears streaking down a pale, translucent cheek. Surrounding it were strange orb-like lights and a faint triangular shape, as if something unseen was framing her image. She couldn't explain it. Neither could anyone else. Was it her sister, reaching through the photograph to be seen once more? What do you think? A coincidence, or something far more personal? The Hotel Dieu Hospital in Windsor, over a century old, carries a dark history. Nurses have long reported hearing the laughter of a little girl echoing through the halls, even when the children's ward has been closed for decades. 7 years ago, a nurse took a picture inside a treatment room and captured what appears to be a small girl standing in the corner. Her outline is faint, her dress old-fashioned, her face blurred as if caught mid-turn. Security footage confirmed no children had entered the area that night. Yet many staff members claim they've heard her voice, soft, playful, just before lights flicker or doors close on their own. If you ever see her, would you wave back? The photo shows an old brick building with white columns and wooden railings. On the second floor, behind one of the glass doors, a faint figure stands in the dark. The shape is almost human, but blurry, as though the reflection itself had come to life. According to locals, tourists took this photo after stopping by what used to be a 19th century hotel. The owner's daughter vanished there long ago. Her body was never found. Since then, people claim her ghost still appears on the balcony, motionless, waiting for those who promised to return. The image remains one of the eeriest ever shared from the area. Do you think she's still waiting? Taken in 2019 in Gatlinburg, Tennessee, this photo shows a couple smiling at dinner. The lighting is warm, cozy, nothing strange about it at first glance. But behind them, something is wrong. A face appears pale, blurred, eyes hollow. It doesn't match anyone in the room, and no one remembers anyone standing there. What do you think it was? In 2012, a student on a school photo trip took dozens of pictures of trees, leaves, and fog. Later that evening, while reviewing the shots, one photo stood out. Between two bushes appeared a dark, humanoid form, a torso, without visible legs, half faded into the background. No one remembered anyone standing there when the shot was taken. Some suggested it was just a play of light and shadow, others swore they could see a faint face. Even the trees seemed to bend slightly around the figure, as if it was actually standing there. Was it an illusion caused by the forest's light, or something watching from the other side of the lens? What do you see when you look at it? A few years ago, an older woman from a quiet mountain town went hiking on her usual trail, a narrow path winding through the woods, far from any nearby homes or roads. She often went alone, finding peace in the sound of the wind through the trees. That day seemed no different. She stopped to take a few photos, the sunlight through the branches, the distant peaks, and later, she posted them on Facebook. At first, no one noticed anything unusual. Then, people began commenting, asking who the person walking behind her was. Confused, she looked again, and froze. In the background stood a pale, distant figure, tall and motionless, almost blending into the trees. The shape wasn't there when she took the photo. No hikers had passed her. Was it a trick of light? A stranger in the woods? Or something that was never meant to be seen? What do you think? Coincidence, or something haunting that mountain trail? S. Palmer, fascinated by stories of spirits, once set out to photograph proof of the supernatural. Accompanied by an army officer, he spent the night inside a house known for its hauntings. For hours, nothing happened. No footsteps, no whispers, no movement. Then, around 2:45 a.m., a strange light appeared in one of the rooms. Palmer lifted his camera and took a single photo using the flash. When the film was developed, his hands began to shake. A human figure stood in the glow, clear and undeniable. There had been no one in that room. No one living, at least. Was it a trick of light, or had Palmer captured someone who never left the house? What do you think? Leave your thoughts in the comments. In Glasgow, artist Tim Sandys was working late in his basement studio, a place that once served as a hospital. The old pipes rattled, the fluorescent lights flickered and buzzed, their sensors unreliable. It was a dark, stormy night, and the halls were empty. Curious about the flickering lights, he began recording slow-motion footage of the corridor. When reviewing the clips, something caught his attention. In several frames, a small figure appeared, a little girl, standing at the far end of the hallway, peering out from behind a door. Her face was barely visible, her outline faint but distinct. The building's history made it worse. The same hallway once led to the children's ward decades ago. Tim tried to reason it away. Maybe someone's child had wandered downstairs. But the way she stood, still, staring, felt far too unnatural. Was it just coincidence? Or did he truly film the ghost of the hospital's past? What do you think? A family was enjoying lunch at the Islamorada Fish Company restaurant in Alabama. 13 people gathered around a long table, adults chatting, children laughing. One photo was taken of a little girl named Hayden, who has Down syndrome. She was turning her head as the picture was taken, creating a small blur. But when they looked closer, everyone fell silent. Behind Hayden's head, a man's faint silhouette appeared. His face was blurred, but his outline was clear. No one had been standing there. No flash, no reflections, no tricks of light. What do you think? Angel, ghost, or something unexplained? This old photograph depicts Newton D. Baker, the U.S. Secretary of War, with his wife and children. It looks like an ordinary family portrait, until you notice the faint ghostly blur standing behind them. The image was made using a glass negative, a process known for strange chemical reactions that sometimes distorted the photo's surface. Some believe the mysterious figure appeared because of a flaw in the glass. Others say it looks too defined, too human, to be an accident. Was it just a technical error, or something, or someone, who wanted to be remembered alongside the family? What do you think this figure really is? This eerie photograph, taken in an Irish linen workshop, first appeared online in 2015 after being added to the Getty Images collection. At first glance, nothing appears strange, just a group of factory workers posing for a picture. But look closely at the woman seated furthest to the right. There's a hand resting gently on her shoulder, a hand that shouldn't be there. None of the other workers are standing near enough to place it. The angle doesn't fit anyone in the frame. It's simply there, pale, defined, human. Was it a trick of exposure, or did something unseen join the women for their portrait that day? What do you think? Coincidence, or something reaching out from beyond? An old, faded photograph discovered in a grandmother's house shows a small church from decades ago. Its windows reflect the cloudy sky, except one. In that window stands a man, but no one remembers him ever being there. Was he the minister who once served in that church, or a spirit bound to the place where he preached long ago? The photo remains a mystery, a moment frozen between time and eternity. What do you think? A living man, or a glimpse into the past that refused to fade?
This story comes from Albuquerque, New Mexico. In the winter of 2012, a woman visited her sister for the holidays. Her sister went to the ABQ River of Lights Festival, an annual celebration filled with glowing displays and illuminated pathways. She took dozens of photos that night. But when she came home and connected her USB camera to her brother's computer, one image stood out. In the lower left corner, a faint female silhouette appeared, semi-transparent, as if glowing faintly through the crowd. The strange part, no one remembered anyone standing there. If someone had been in the way, they would have waited or asked her to move. Yet the figure appeared clear as day. So if no one was there, then who was? Coincidence, or something haunting the River of Lights? A friend sent this image to the uploader, saying he didn't know what to think. The photo was taken late at night in his bedroom. He lived alone. In the picture, a blanket can be seen, and above it, something white, almost human-shaped, leaning over. The faint outline resembles someone sitting on top of the man as he slept. He swore no one else was there, and the house was locked. Yet the form above him looked solid, like a shadow that decided to take shape. Was this just a trick of shadows, or something watching him while he slept? The old Kennesaw House in Marietta, Georgia, has long been considered one of the city's darkest corners. Back during the Civil War, its rooms echoed with the moans of the wounded and the dying screams of soldiers. The building served as both a hospital and a morgue at the same time. Today, it houses the Marietta History Museum, but the atmosphere of the past seems to linger. One of the most famous photographs taken in the museum seems to pull viewers out of reality. A ghostly figure can be seen standing in the dim light of the hall. Its outline is blurry, yet distinct enough to send chills down your spine. Museum staff claim that strange footsteps and quiet voices are often heard in this spot, and the halls can suddenly grow icy, even on the hottest days. The photo became a sensation. Many visitors say that looking at it makes them feel another presence, as if someone is standing right behind them. The history of a building once filled with death continues to whisper through the centuries, and this image is just one of its reminders. In 2016, this eerie picture spread across social media. A woman named Kelly Haynes took a casual selfie in a pub in Blackpool, UK. But when she looked at it later, she noticed something disturbing. Over her shoulder, a face stared back. It wasn't anyone from the bar, and no one had been standing there. The pale face looked like that of a young child, blank, expressionless, almost floating in the darkness behind her. The photo went viral, with many calling it one of the clearest ghost images ever captured. Was it a hoax, or the face of a restless child trapped in the pub forever? This photograph belongs to Chloe Marie Powell Hughes. She shared that one night, while repainting her kitchen, she took a picture to show her mom the progress. The wall was still wet from fresh paint, nothing unusual at first glance. But when she looked closer, a faint human shape appeared against the wet surface. It wasn't dust or a reflection, it looked like a transparent figure hovering midair, as if gliding out of the wall itself. She hadn't seen it with her own eyes, only through the camera lens. So was it a paint trick, or something hiding in plain sight? A security camera in a private home captured something difficult to explain. The footage shows a staircase shrouded in shadows, and next to it, a shape that looks neither like a person nor a trick of the light. The indistinct figure seems to peek from behind the railing, watching someone invisible. The homeowners insist that no one was downstairs that evening. In the days that followed, they began noticing strange sounds, soft rustling, faint footsteps on the stairs, and barely audible breathing in the dark. Some who have seen this photo are convinced it's the ghost of someone who remained in the house after a tragedy long forgotten. Others believe the camera simply caught a reflection or overlapping shadows. But everyone who has watched this footage agrees on one thing: there is something disturbingly alive about that figure. It's as if it knows it's being watched, and is waiting for someone to come down the stairs again. While sorting through old family photos, a woman came across one taken years ago during Christmas. In the picture, two sisters stand smiling, one on the left, one on the right. But behind the girl on the right, something else lurks on the wall. It's faint, humanoid, with a face twisted in an unnatural grin. Its thin black hand appears to rest on the girl's neck, though there was nothing behind her but a bare wall. The more you stare, the clearer the figure becomes, like it's slowly stepping forward from the background. The family never found an explanation. Even the original negatives confirmed it was there. Some say it's a demonic presence. Others think it's a trick of the flash. But once you've seen that hand, you can't unsee it. What do you think? Illusion, or something darker watching that family? In 1984, a man took a photo of his grandmother sitting peacefully in her living room. There was no smoke, no haze, nothing unusual. But when the picture developed, a faint mist appeared beside her chair, slowly forming the outline of a man. The family instantly recognized the shape. It resembled her late husband, who had passed away years before. Many believe he appeared to remind her that he was still by her side, watching over her. The image is soft, eerie, and oddly comforting. Some call it coincidence. Others, a final visit from a soul unwilling to say goodbye. Was it just a reflection, or love strong enough to cross death itself? It was supposed to be an innocent photo, a mother capturing her daughter's smile. But later, when she looked closer, her heart nearly stopped. Behind the little girl stood a dark, human-like figure, partially hidden in shadow, staring straight into the lens. No one else had been in the room. The door was closed. The image spread across social media, dividing viewers. Some saw a shadow, others a clear silhouette of something far more sinister. Many claimed they can even make out faint eyes in the darkness. Who, or what, was standing behind that child? In the quiet town of Glenview, Illinois, stands the Church of Our Lady of Perpetual Help, a place known for peace, prayer, and something unexplainable. Witnesses have long spoken of strange encounters within its walls, soft whispers, flickering lights, and fleeting silhouettes that seem almost angelic. One evening, a visitor captured a glowing figure standing near the altar. The image revealed a luminous human shape, bathed in light yet casting no shadow. Parishioners were stunned. Many claimed they could feel an overwhelming sense of calm and awe when looking at the photo, as if something divine had been caught on camera. Skeptics call it a trick of light. Believers, however, say it's proof that the sacred and the unseen sometimes share the same space. What do you think? Miracle or something else entirely? This chilling photo was taken during a paranormal investigation at a cemetery known for its ghostly activity. The camera caught what appears to be a blurred figure sprinting between the graves, something human-shaped, but too fast, too faint, too wrong. The photographer swears no one was in the frame. There was only silence, the rustle of leaves, and the faint hum of distant traffic. Yet when they reviewed the image, that shadow was there, as if running from something unseen. Those who have visited the cemetery say it often feels like you're being watched. Some leave with strange chills, others with unexplainable images on their phones. Was it just motion blur, or a restless soul fleeing the world of the dead? This photo was taken during a celebration at a kindergarten in Japan. The children, dressed in costumes and masks, were posing for a cheerful group photo. But what was meant to be a memory of laughter became something much darker. In the upper window behind them, a pale face can be seen, the face of a small boy, expressionless, silently watching the children below. Teachers confirmed that no one was upstairs at the time. Locals whisper that a child once died there decades ago and that his spirit never left. The building has since been renovated, but visitors still report the feeling of eyes on them whenever they pass those windows. A university professor once showed this strange photo displayed in one of the old campus buildings. It was originally taken at a nearby abandoned mine, long closed after several fatal accidents. The picture shows a miner posing for the camera, covered in dust, nothing unusual at first glance. But in the background, half hidden in the darkness of the tunnel, a translucent face seems to peer out from behind the rocks. Its eyes look hollow, its mouth slightly open, as if whispering something unheard. Many believe it's the ghost of a miner who never left the depths, forever watching those who dare to enter. Others insist it's a mere trick of light. Still, the gaze in that photo feels too real, too aware. What was that face doing in the dark? The young woman was simply taking a picture of her dog sitting by the window. When she reviewed the photo later, she froze. Reflected in the glass was the faint outline of a man hovering just outside, pale, transparent, and clearly not there when the picture was taken. His face is blurred, but his form unmistakable, as though caught between worlds. The woman posted the photo online, desperate for an explanation, but none came. The house was on the second floor, the window locked. Some users claim they see a shadow of a hat or a faint arm reaching toward the glass. Was it the spirit of a lost soul, or something that came too close that night? Dated 1999, the photo shows what appears to be a happy family, parents smiling, children laughing. But on the right side of the frame, something else can be seen. A figure, thin, distorted, with a cruel grin, seems to reach toward the little girl. The mother's eyes, too, look wrong, unnaturally closed, as if she's under some strange influence. Viewers have described the image as deeply unsettling, claiming they can sense malice in the expression of the unknown figure. Some believe it's a camera glitch. Others think the photo captured something darker, a presence trying to insert itself into the living. Could evil truly linger within a single moment, frozen forever in a family portrait? This picture was taken in the summer of 2011 in rural Western Oregon, at a family property that had been in use since the 1970s. A man photographed two little girls playing in a creek. Only days later, when he finally sent the photo, did he notice something horrifying. In the upper left corner stood a third girl, watching them. No one present knew her. She wasn't there when the picture was taken. The image is clear. She's pale, with dark eyes, standing in the deepest part of the water. Some say the spot is cursed. Years ago, a child drowned there. The land itself seems to hold memories of that tragedy. Strange noises at night, cold spots, nightmares. What do you think? Coincidence, or a spirit tied forever to that place? This image was captured during a sleep research experiment using an infrared Sony digital camera. Above the sleeping patient, a strange figure can be clearly seen, resembling a ghostly presence. The shape appears transparent, almost ethereal, creating the unsettling impression that something invisible is watching over the patient. Scientists have not provided a definitive explanation. It could be an optical effect caused by the camera, but to many observers, the image looks genuinely paranormal. What do you think was hovering above the patient? Man shared a deeply personal story connected to this photograph. His grandmother passed away on March 25th. Just 2 weeks later, on April 12th, his father also died. The house where his father passed belonged to his grandparents, and many years earlier, his grandfather had taken his own life there. The family is now sorting through belongings and slowly clearing the house. During the cleanup, the man decided to photograph his father's beloved 1973 Volkswagen Beetle. He opened a window to get a clearer shot and took what seemed like an ordinary picture. In the reflection on the glass, a child can be seen, a child who was actually standing nearby. But just above the child's shoulder, another face appears. The family cannot explain this figure. What makes it even more disturbing is that it bears a striking resemblance to the man's late father. Who, or what, appeared in that reflection? Could it be a coincidence, or something far more unsettling? What do you think was captured in the glass? Share your opinion. This photograph was taken by a woman named Maria at Cuckoo Nook in Birmingham. She said she had heard many stories about how disturbing the place was, and decided to visit it at night with friends, deliberately choosing the date June 6, 16 to heighten the atmosphere. According to Maria, nothing unusual happened while they were there. The walk passed quietly, but later, while reviewing the photos, she noticed something unsettling. On the right side of one image, a blurred silhouette appeared, a figure that was definitely not there at the time. So what was it? A coincidence, or something that does not welcome visitors? A 14-year-old girl took this photo in her bedroom as a joke, planning to send it to a friend. At the moment the picture was taken, nothing unusual was noticed. But when the friend received the image, she immediately spotted something disturbing. In the window, a blurred female figure was clearly visible. The friend took a screenshot and sent it back right away, asking who that could be. The family later explained that strange things had been happening in their home in County Down for several months. Noises at night, footsteps, light pushes, as if someone unseen was walking through the hallways, all in a house that is only about 10 years old. If the house is new, where did this guest in the window come from? What do you think was watching from outside? Construction workers took this photo to show their foreman what had been completed that day. At first glance, it looks completely ordinary, but on closer inspection, something strange appears in the frame, a figure resembling white mist, as if something or someone passed directly in front of the camera. Some of the workers had already complained about odd occurrences on the site. Tools would disappear without explanation. At times, there was a strong feeling of being watched, or even that someone was lightly touching their belongings. Was this just a coincidence? Or had a real ghost settled at the construction site? What do you think this mist-like figure was? In the quiet town of Ravenna, Ohio, the Cicero family lives in constant unease. At night, they hear footsteps, muffled voices, and soft laughter, as if something small is running through the hallways. But the moment that truly sent chills down their spine came when they reviewed a photograph taken inside their own home. In the image, visible through dark glass, stands a small girl deep inside the room. She appears to be watching them, silently, calmly, as if waiting to be noticed. The family says these visitors seem to appear more often now, and the sense of presence grows stronger with time. Would you stay in a house like this? The Willard Library in Evansville, Indiana, is considered one of the most haunted buildings in the world. Its residents are not only books, but, according to many stories, spirits that sometimes appear on camera. Willard Library runs a live stream from 3 different rooms, and one day a viewer noticed something disturbing. In the children's room, a strange shape slowly crawled across the floor. At that moment, there were no children in the room. The figure appeared briefly and then vanished just as suddenly, as if dissolving into the air. The footage left viewers unsettled. No logical explanation has ever been given. What do you think moved across that floor? Write your thoughts in the comments. The owner of this photograph says it was taken in the room where his uncle died in 2007. An overdose. A quiet, heavy death that seemed to break something inside the house. Every visit afterward brought an uncomfortable chill in the chest, as if the air itself carried an unseen presence. Months later, his aunt decided to gather the family for a party, hoping to bring life back into the house. That evening, after the guests dispersed, 2 cousins gave in to dark curiosity and decided to play ghost hunters. Using an old phone that barely worked even then, they took this photo. The room was completely dark, no lamps, no computer screens, no windows in that corner. What appeared in the image still causes goosebumps. A silhouette, reflections, shapes that look disturbingly like someone standing where no one should be. The owner admits he always felt it was his uncle, returned, to remind them he existed, or because he never truly left. What do you think was captured in that room? Until recently, this man had never experienced anything not of this world. But after the death of his best friend's father, he visited their home in Colorado and briefly saw the figure of a man standing between 2 cars, before it vanished instantly. That moment made him seriously question everything. His niece, a Native American woman, had seen a being since childhood that she simply called the man. Her life was difficult, and many dismissed her stories as imagination, until she began running away in terror, convinced something was chasing her. Over the years, her stories grew darker. Now living again with his mother, she recently photographed a card from her wallet. By accident, she captured a strange reflection in a small mirror, a face that could not have appeared at that angle. The photo shocked the entire family. That was when the man realized he had been wrong to doubt her for so long. Now he seeks answers, how to help her, and whether the image can be explained rationally at all. What do you think appeared in that reflection? The daughter of a farmer took this photograph on their rural ranch located in Native American territory in Oklahoma. The image was captured while her brother was burning trash on the property. At first glance, it looks like an ordinary scene: fire, smoke, and the fading light of evening. But upon closer inspection, a figure seems to appear near the boy. Its arms are stretched outward, its posture tense and alert, almost as if calling out. The shape strongly resembles a Native American spirit watching the scene unfold. The photo raises more questions than answers. Was it a ghost, or simply light and shadow playing tricks on the eye? One thing is certain: the sense of unease is impossible to ignore. The owner of this photograph, a man named Brad, explained that he took the image while at work at an oil terminal during a routine tank cleaning. He was inside a massive storage tank with a capacity of 2 million gallons, documenting the process. Later, while sending the photos to the main office, he noticed something chilling on one of the floating roof pontoons. A face. The figure was far too clear to be dismissed as a trick of light. An eye was visible, complete with a pupil and even a reflection of light. No one has been able to explain how a face could appear in such a place. What do you think was staring back from inside that tank? A motion-activated camera installed in a cornfield in Hubertus, Wisconsin, captured a disturbing figure slowly walking along the edge of the field. The camera was placed on private property, not easily accessible to outsiders, and it only activates when movement is detected. This means the figure was truly moving, and that movement is exactly what triggered the photo. In the image, a tall, thin silhouette can be seen, resembling either a man or a woman wearing a long nightgown. The figure nearly reaches the height of the corn itself, making the scene feel even more unsettling. Some joke that it looks like Slender Man, but the humor fades quickly when it becomes clear that someone, or something, actually walked through that field. What do you think was captured here? Write your thoughts in the comments. A couple of months ago, a man was casually browsing houses online. Nothing unusual, just a normal activity. Then one photo made him freeze. At first glance, it looked like a bright, comfortable room with a beautiful window, soft natural light, and a warm atmosphere. But the mood changes instantly when the doorway comes into focus. In the shadow, a silhouette emerges, one that closely resembles a dog. The longer it is examined, the stronger the feeling becomes that this is not just a shadow, but the ghost of a dog. How did it get there? Was it truly an animal spirit, or something else entirely? What do you think was standing in that doorway? Luke from Sheffield claims he accidentally photographed the ghost of an elderly woman who once lived in his house. The previous owner died 18 months before his family moved in, and since then, strange things have reportedly happened. On the night of November 13th, unable to sleep, Luke went downstairs to smoke. The house was silent. Everyone else was asleep. Suddenly, he clearly heard footsteps coming from the lower floor. Unsure who could be there, he turned on his phone camera and took a photo toward the staircase. When he looked at the image, his breath caught. At the bottom of the stairs stood an old woman wearing a cardigan. Elderly, slightly hunched. She looked exactly like the former owner of the house. Luke believed she was trying to open the kitchen door, a place she often went while she was alive. He insists that no one else was in the house that night. So what was it? A shadow, or a spirit unwilling to leave her home? What do you think appeared on the stairs? Write in the comments. The owner of this photograph said he had recently bought a Samsung Note 9 and decided to test the smart camera by taking a picture of his dog. A few days later, while sending the photo, he noticed something strange in the reflection. "I'm honestly shocked. I can't believe something like this is in my home," he admitted. In the image, a strange figure can be seen, as if someone is watching from the reflection. The dog appears uneasy, as though it sensed something unusual. According to the owner, the photo looks so eerie that it is difficult to explain by normal means. Who do you think was watching from the reflection? On Halloween night in 2015, a teen known as the Southwest Sydney Paranormal Investigators visited the old St. Bartholomew's Cemetery to film another report about the unexplained. The place was drowned in silence. Shadows stretched between the gravestones. Then, suddenly, a strange, mournful whimper echoed through the darkness, as if something unseen was pacing nearby. The team took dozens of photographs, but the mystery revealed itself later. While reviewing the images, they noticed a blurred silhouette near one of the old tombstones. The figure looked like a man caught mid-motion, as if he had suddenly bolted and was running away, almost as if trying to escape the camera itself. Who was that figure? And more importantly, what was it running from? What do you think this shadow was? In 2007, a man from West Yorkshire, then an aspiring amateur filmmaker, went out onto a forest path to record ordinary nature footage for a small project. At the time, he noticed nothing unusual, just walking forward and filming the surroundings. Later, while reviewing the footage at home, he saw something that sent chills down his spine. A semi-transparent figure appeared on the recording, strongly resembling a Roman soldier. The silhouette seemed to cross the path like a patrol, following an ancient route long erased by time. He insists there was no one else nearby when the footage was recorded. Was it a coincidence? Or did the camera briefly capture an echo of an era that ended 2,000 years ago? What do you think crossed that forest path? Share your theory. These photographs were taken by a woman named Karen. She firmly believes that a ghost named Malcolm lives in her house. According to her, she learned his name through a spirit board. For 13 years, he has slammed doors, knocked pictures off walls, opened drawers, and even turned on the kettle when guests arrive. In one photo, the ghost appears in a window. Karen claims that sometimes he imitates the voices of family members and even pretends to be her partner. At first, she lived in fear, especially after returning home one day to find a door torn off its hinges and a kettle boiling in the kitchen. Another image shows a dark anomaly on the staircase. Over time, her partner Paul, a convinced skeptic, also began noticing strange sounds and shadows. Eventually, Karen accepted Malcolm's presence. She now jokes that he has become part of the family, even writing his name on Christmas cards. She talks to him, scolds him when he misbehaves, and believes he died in 1858 at the age of 57. Mediums she invited into the house also sensed unusual energy. Karen believes Malcolm lived in a building that once stood on the land before her home was built in the 1930s, and she plans to research the site's history. Do you think Malcolm is real, or something else entirely? These images show what a father saw after waking in the middle of the night. His young son was softly babbling in his crib, so he checked the baby monitor. But instead of the usual view, a strange silhouette appeared on the screen. It was too defined to be interference, too tall to be a toy, and too still to be a trick of light. The father managed to take several photos before rushing into the nursery, convinced someone was standing there. But when he opened the door, the room was empty. No movement, no shadows, only the child calmly staring into the darkness, as if the figure had vanished into thin air. It was the first and only time the father felt real fear inside his own home. Even years later, the memory of that night still sends chills, and the images feel like more than a simple camera glitch. What do you think appeared in the nursery? Write in the comments. A man says this photograph was taken several years ago in his sister's house. In the image, an abnormal figure can be seen, something that strongly resembles a ghost. The family discussed the photo for a long time, trying to understand what had appeared. That same day, the house was filled with a strong smell of cigarette smoke, thick and persistent, as if someone had just been smoking nearby. But no one in the family smokes. No one at all. What do you think left its mark in this photo? This photograph was captured by a home security camera in Wayne County. In the area where a close family friend lives, items have been disappearing from yards at night for weeks. To protect themselves, the homeowners installed 2 cameras, one on each side of the house. Just days later, one camera recorded this image. A small figure appears in the yard, despite the fact that there are no children within a 2-mile radius. The clothing looks outdated, and something unusual sits on its head, resembling an old-fashioned headpiece. The homeowner does not strongly believe in ghosts, but he personally saw the image directly on the camera device. File analysis confirmed the photo was not edited. What was captured remains a mystery. What do you think this figure was? Only a young woman and her cousin were inside the house that night. Empty rooms. Silence. Faint light from a window. They took a random photo on an old BlackBerry in 2011 and didn't even check it right away. When they finally did, both felt their breath catch. Behind the woman, a blurred figure emerged. Not a reflection, not a shadow, a shape, as if watching from the darkness. The longer you look, the clearer the face becomes, as if trying to push through the noise of the old camera. That night, only 2 people were in the house. But in the photo, there are 3. Who do you think stood behind her? This couple was simply enjoying an evening at a restaurant inside a popular wedding venue in Tomball, Texas. Warm lights, laughter, music, nothing unusual. Later, while reviewing the photo, they noticed something that made their skin crawl. Behind them stands a woman's figure, blurred, pale, as if cut from another time. Neither guests nor staff remember anyone standing there, but in the photo, she is clearly present. A silent observer, appearing in only a single frame. What do you think this figure was? A shadow, or an uninvited guest? This photograph was taken by Katrin Paraiso, a young tourist from the Philippines, while staying in Japan. She simply took a normal selfie in the house where she was living during her vacation. But what appeared in the image turned an ordinary photo into a nightmare. At first, the picture looked dark and unclear, but when the brightness was adjusted, a strange rounded dark shape appeared on the floor behind her. And the longer you look, the worse it gets. Something was there. Messy hair, a disturbing expression. She insists no one else was in the house. There was no physical reason for that shape to appear. So the question remains, was it just a terrifying optical effect, or the ghost of someone who once died tragically in that very room? What do you think it was? Write your thoughts in the comments. A young woman was taking an ordinary selfie when she noticed a strange figure behind a door in the background. The figure resembles a ghost. Its face appears distorted, as if frozen in intense pain, while the body seems twisted by invisible suffering. What should have been a normal photo instantly turned into something deeply disturbing and mysterious. Was this just a terrifying coincidence, or did something reveal itself at the wrong moment? What do you think was captured behind that door? Write your thoughts in the comments. This photograph was taken at Chillingham Castle, one of the darkest and most legendary castles in Britain. To this day, the image sends chills down the spine of everyone who sees it. In the photo, a barely visible silhouette of a child appears, as if sitting on an old chair and quietly, almost desperately, trying to draw attention. The figure carries a strange mix of sadness, unease, and an unsettling sense of curiosity. The image caused such a reaction that it was handed over to experts for analysis. After a detailed examination, specialists confirmed that there were no signs of editing or manipulation. Everything visible in the photograph is authentic. So what was sitting there? What do you think this childlike figure really was? This photograph was taken in 1956 inside Eastry Church in Kent, England. The image shows what many believe to be a legendary apparition, a transparent, faintly visible figure of a monk calmly sitting on a church pew. For decades, the photo has disturbed viewers. The silhouette appears far too detailed and well-defined to be written off as an optical illusion. The monk seems almost peaceful, yet his presence raises far more questions than answers. Was this truly a ghost captured in a sacred place? What do you think? This image was taken in northern New York State in November 2021. A farmer was working in his field late at night when the camera captured something unusual. Hidden among the tall grass is a mysterious figure, seemingly watching from the darkness. Its outline creates a deep sense of unease, the kind of fear that feels instinctive, as if something is lurking just a few steps away. Nothing else was found in the field that night. What do you think was watching from the grass? This took place in Ozark, Missouri. A man's co-worker took this photograph near his own home. He was simply stepping into his yard with his phone in hand when he suddenly noticed something that made his breath catch. His first thought was only, "What is that?" before quickly taking the picture. The moment he looked up again, the figure was gone, as if it had never been there at all. The man is over 60 years old, from an old-school background, and barely uses technology. He is certain there was no Photoshop involved and no way the image could have been altered. The photograph appears to show the ghost of a woman wearing a full, elegant dress. Who, or what, she was remains a mystery to this day. What do you believe this figure could be? This photo was taken by a man named Jim, who works at a shelter. According to him, the image shows something extraordinary. On the staircase, a figure appears, resembling the ghost of a maid dressed in an 18th century outfit. The figure stands perfectly still. The old-fashioned clothing and rigid posture make it feel as though time itself has stopped, leaving behind only a shadow from the past. No one else was on the stairs at the time. Do you believe this could be a spirit from another era,